The Daily Nation has a very interesting headline today. Let me just get the Daily Nation. This is the standard. Okay. Now, this is the Daily Nation. And it has a very interesting headline. Why Ruto needs Raila. According to this story, William Ruto is crafting his 2022 presidential bid based on Raila Amolo Odinga. Which means if Raila Odinga is not going to run, then William Ruto will have to go back to the drawing board. And they're basing it on Raila Amolo Odinga for 5 reasons. The first reason is the Mount Kenya support. Number 2 is to project Raila Odinga as a dynasty. Number 3 is to portray Raila Odinga as someone who is old. And number 4, to portray Ruto as someone who has risen from poverty. And number 5, they're also targeting Western and the coastal region. And they want to tell the people of those 2 regions that Raila Odinga has done nothing for them. I want us to dismantle these 5 theories why they are basing their bid on Raila Amolo Odinga. And just like I keep on telling you on this platform, in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and well executed to achieve specific political objectives. And in my considered opinion, there are 2 objectives which this headline wanted to achieve. Number 1 is that around President Uhuru Kenyatta, there are people who are opposed to Raila Amolo Odinga. They don't want President Uhuru Kenyatta to endorse Raila Amolo Odinga. And therefore, they are alleging that Raila Odinga is the easiest candidate for Ruto. And by doing that, they hope to persuade the president to reconsider. Because you remember that on Tuesday, President Uhuru Kenyatta kind of endorsed Raila Amolo Odinga. So that's the first theory. The second theory is that probably this headline has been sponsored by the allies of the deputy president to stop Raila Amolo Odinga from contesting so that they could get someone who will be easier for them to defeat. Because I want to ask you a question. Apart from Raila Amolo Odinga, who else do you think can stop William Ruto? If today Raila Odinga is not running, and we all know that we can't import another presidential candidate from us, we'll only have the ones we have. Who amongst these presidential candidates can actually defeat Ruto? So I have those theories. But before we go into the details, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I want you to click the subscribe button, that red button there, so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now let us get back to business. 2022 general election is shaping up to be a 2-horse race between the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga. William Ruto has already declared his bid for the presidency and is already campaigning for 2022. Raila Amolo Odinga has not declared his bid for the presidency. He's actually on record stating that he will only talk about 2022 after the referendum. But get it from me, Raila Odinga is likely to be on the ballot, but only on one condition, that President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support him. And you also remember that the chairman of the ODM party, John Mbadi, has already declared that Raila Odinga will be on the ballot. So I want to assume that as much as he has not declared, his name will be on the ballot in 2022. And according to William Ruto's strategy, which, because of course William Ruto also understands that the only credible candidate he's likely to face is Raila Amolo Odinga. So he has crafted a strategy. And that strategy is based on 5 issues, which the Daily Nation is alleging in their story. That number 1, the Mount Kenya support. Of course, for William Ruto to win the support of the larger Mount Kenya region, he needs to invoke the name of Raila Amolo Odinga. The question is, Central Kenya has always voted for Uhuru Kenyatta and Moi Kibaki 99% or even 90%? Can William Ruto succeed in getting 90% from central Kenya? I doubt this is going to happen. Already I've started seeing people, like when you go to online, someone like Pauline Njoroge has already declared that she's going to support Raila Odinga. These are some of the people who are key players in Uhuru Kenyatta's bid. Someone like Wahome Tuku, and I know there are several others. So which means in central Kenya, Raila Odinga cannot lose. He can only gain. The only person who can lose in central Kenya is William Samoei Ruto. And with the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his brigades, rest assured that Raila Odinga can easily get 30% of the votes from the larger Mount Kenya region. As long as Raila Odinga can get 30% from the larger Mount Kenya region, Raila Odinga will be home and dry. And this is what the deputy president is not hoping for. And that's why he's trying so hard to avert any possible division within Tanga Tanga. The other day he met with Moses Kuria and his United Democratic Alliance brigades led by Rigathi Gachagua, because these two guys have been fighting. Mwangi Kiunjuri is also trying to chart his own political path. Again, we don't know his game plan. Then there is the emergence of Justin Muturi. Why is Justin Muturi being propelled to be the spokesperson of the Mount Kenya region? So when you talk of Mount Kenya, I agree with the deputy president and his strategy. Just invoke the name of Raila Odinga. But the challenges are many. How will the people of the larger Mount Kenya region turn out in 2022? That's the most important question. Again, who will ensure that the figures from those regions are inflated the way they have always been inflated? Because like there are places where figures are always inflated, Raila Odinga's figures are deflated. Who will ensure that that will happen? So those are some of the headache which the deputy president will have to deal with. But in the larger Mount Kenya region, I agree, invoking the name of Raila Odinga would sell for him. Number two, they're saying they want to project Raila Odinga as a dynasty. And this is why I want to challenge Raila Odinga to give me a job to deal with this. The truth of the matter is that Raila Odinga is a son to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. That's the honest truth. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was the vice president of this country for how many years? Only 2 years. During that period, Jaramogi Odinga was kicked out of government. Why? Because he was fighting for the common man. William Ruto has been the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya for 8 years. So which means the time the deputy William Ruto has served as the vice president, a more powerful vice president, is longer than the duration Jaramogi Oginga Odinga served. I know questions will arise that Jaramogi was a vice president and Raila Odinga was the son. It makes sense. But, you know, someone like William Ruto, if Raila Odinga were to deal with him, and I know Raila Odinga's advisors are always trying to project Raila Odinga as a statesman. You don't deal with Ruto as a statesman, because Ruto knows two things. He knows how to deal with messaging and how to deal with propaganda. If you deal with him as a statesperson, then he will overrun you. So they need to face William Ruto head on this particular issue of dynasty and ask the hard question which will cause havoc in this country. The question is, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga became the vice president of the Republic of Kenya. Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi became the vice president and even the president of the Republic of Kenya. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta became the president, and that's why they're called a dynasty. The question is, they should ask Ruto, where was his father? When all these people were struggling, when these people were going to school, where was William Ruto's father? And is it fashionable to claim that because your father worked hard to achieve whatever they achieved, then you are not entitled to any benefit accruing from their hard work? They must start asking those tough questions to Ruto. Because probably when Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was walking long distances, remember, my father used to tell me how schools were very long, very far away. When Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was trying to go to school, walking very long distances, William Ruto's father, where was he? For example, when Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was going to Maseno, where was my grandfather? My grandfather was probably just in the village looking after cattle. Or maybe my grandfather was just in the village chasing after the village women while Jaramogi was going to school. Where was William Ruto's father during that period? So these are things which they can put to the public. Raila Odinga cannot do it. Raila Odinga cannot do it directly. But he can get right people. Someone like Babu Wino can do it so well. Someone like Munjiri Wambugu can do it so well. Someone like Hassan Joho can do it so well to deal with that issue of dynasty. So that's number one. That's how they can deal with the issue of dynasty. So the issue of dynasty can also be dealt with in another better way. This country has been led by two tribes since independence. It is time for Raila Odinga and his handlers to deal with the issue of tribal dominance. What Uhuru Kenyatta started in Vihiga during the burial of Musalia Mudavadi's mother. So Raila Odinga can deal with the issue of dynasty by telling Kenyans that the country has been ruled by two tribes, the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus, that it is now time to test a third tribe. And anytime they will invoke that, they'll see the reaction from that other team. The third issue they're talking about is that Raila Odinga is old. Of course, Raila Odinga is old. The question is, they are now copying Mwai Kibaki's economic model. How old was Mwai Kibaki when he became the president of the Republic of Kenya? Moi was the president of this Republic of Kenya. He left office in 2002. William Ruto was supporting Moi at that time when he was still a young boy. So they can deal with the issue of old age. Again, they can even use the issue of America, where Biden, who is older than Raila, is currently the president of the biggest economy in the world. Number 4, they also plan to portray Ruto as someone who has risen from poverty. Of course, you have to give it to Ruto. He has worked hard to be at the apex of leadership of this country. Very few people achieves that. The only thing which equalizes everything is normally education. When you come from a poor family, you go to the university, you study medicine, you come out as a top student, then you'll start interacting with the top in this country. You go to college, you become a top lawyer from a poor background, definitely you'll interact with the right people. So education is the best equalizer. But William Ruto cannot claim that he has risen from poverty. What Raila Odinga and his team should be asking or putting to the public is how he has managed to rise from poverty. William Ruto's history is well documented. I know someone will write a book, but it's well documented that as much as he sold chicken, every other person sold chicken. Personally, me, I sold chicken. I sold, ile unaweka kuku tano kwenu, za zile ya kwenda shule unachukua moja, you make brooms, you go and sell in the market, unatengeneza zile kamba. I used to do that so much, ile kutengeneza kamba, then you sell. Everybody has done that. But after university, where has he worked? They must ask those hard questions. Where has he worked? How did he acquire his money? Because the history is well documented. They were in Youth for KANU, 92, which crippled the economy of this country, fell in 1992 as a result of the Youth for KANU. From there, Moi became the president again. Then they started deal making, identifying government lands and selling. That's how these KANU boys made money. It's not only Ruto. Those who were in the Youth for KANU, all of them just made money identifying government lands and selling. Ruto was one of them. And that's how he managed to sell the Kenya Pipeline land, which is in public domain, and he constructed the Easton Hotel. And that's how he started rising. So they can also deal with that. While that was happening, where was Raila Odinga? Raila Odinga was suffering in detention for Kenyans to gain freedom. So they must deal with Ruto in that fashion. Because if they sugarcoat, if they want to try to portray Raila Odinga as a statesperson, Ruto is going to overrun them. I'm telling you, Ruto is good on two things. Messaging. His message will reach to the people. So the only way to counter those messages is also telling the public. He goes to Kisii, tells them these things, then you go to Kisii, counter them just ruthlessly. The other thing is that he intends to use, he intends to go to Coast and Western. Because if you lock Raila Odinga out of Coast and you lock Raila Odinga out of Western, Raila Odinga is crippled. He intends to go there and tell them that Raila Odinga has done for them nothing. So Raila Odinga and his team must also prepare for the coastal people. James Orengo was the Minister for Land during Kibaki era. Were there changes these people witnessed when he was the Minister for Land? What about infrastructure when Raila Odinga was the Minister for Roads? I was in Malindi during the by-election in 2014, and Raila Odinga used to explain, and the efforts can be seen. But that's not important. The most important thing is ugatuzi, or devolution, something which has been so dear to the hearts of the people of the coastal region. The question is, who is the father of devolution? Raila Odinga. So they can go and tell the people of the coastal region how devolution has actually impacted positively on them. And the person who is fighting devolution is actually William Ruto. Because look at it. The Building Bridges Initiative process intended to take more money to the counties. Who opposed the Building Bridges Initiative process? Then again, it intended to allocate more constituencies to the coastal people. Again, who opposed that Building Bridges Initiative process? The coastal region has been marginalized. And one of the issues which came during BBI was the issue of marginalization and how to address them. The coastal region needed more constituencies. So they can go with that, because I don't see Building Bridges Initiative process taking shape. I've done this video as someone who would have advised Raila Odinga. I don't know what you think. Let me hear your thoughts. And if you're watching the video for the first time, please take a second or two and click the subscribe button. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day.